Welcome to Smith County. This is Carthage, the county seat, a small town with a lot of character. Many people think their town is special, but if you talk to the people who live and work here, they think it's one of the most unique towns in Tennessee. The reasons vary as much as the twists and turns of the Cumberland River on its journey throughout the county. What makes a place special? That's the question we put to a group of Smith Countyans. Some of them were born and raised here and never left. Others forged careers elsewhere. A few served their country in the military. One went to war. They married, they raised kids. They worked as teachers and lawyers. Their lives are as varied as there are people, but this group has one common denominator. They love this place called Smith County. This place of burbling creeks, green pastures where cows graze lazily, where the horizon is a gathering of gently rising hills laced together like the knuckles of a giant's hand.
I came back because I want to be at home. After you've been gone for a while, and your mom and dad and people that you know, you've missed them for so long. So ending up back in Smith County was just kind of like a turn of events kind of thing for me, or around the world kind of thing for me.
Well, I grew up with a desire to go see the world. So at 18, I went to college. Once I graduated, I joined the Air Force and spent 20 years in the Air Force traveling around the world. And when it got time for me to retire from the Air Force, I considered coming back at that time, but I was working in Virginia, and then I had my father pass away. And once my father passed away, I felt it was time to come back and maybe help my mom out. Well, the influence of my father on my career is that growing up, my dad was a school teacher, and he was a professional, so I always wanted to be some type of professional. He encouraged me to join the Air Force, and first I was like, I don't really want to do that. I don't want to join the military. But he said, you know what, that's a good opportunity. And so I joined and progressed through the ranks to a lieutenant colonel, and realized that he was right. You know, it was fun, it was exciting, there were new challenges every day.
He would accept challenges, and I used to argue with him in class all the time, and I always thought I was right. I was like, no, I'm right, no, I'm right. And I would argue with him in class, but I was never right. And I can remember one time I had actually challenged him to a race. I challenged him to a race in the field.
You gotta run it?
Yeah. He had knee-high boots, knee-high rubber boots on. And I said, I can beat you, I run you. And I'm not really sure what the age was at that time, but we took off, and I quit about halfway because he was that far ahead of me.
Favorite spot in Smith County? You know, I would have to say it's 114 Bradford Hill Road. Just being out there on my dad's farm. There's a really tall hill out there, and if you climb it, and it ain't easy, you can see for miles out over Smith County. So I'd say at the apex of the tall hill, at the address of 114 Bradford Hill Road.
Well, a very, very strong woman. If you grow up with a mother of that caliber, I'm gonna have trouble with this.
You want me to do it?
Yeah, you do it.
Our mother was probably the perfect complement to our dad, because he was always hard charging and leading, and she was always leading from behind, meaning that you might think that she might be following him, but really she wasn't. She was guiding him without the directness that the front leader needs. She a very compassionate person, a very caring person. She raised 4 children.
When you have that kind of thing going on, when your mother is able to do those things, then you kind of say, wow, that's pretty, and you try to do this, and I try to do the same things with my own family, pretty much.
Well, you talk about food. My mom used to, she would probably obviously prepare dinner, which is important, but we played sports, and before every football game, she would fix everybody else something and always fix me a steak. And I always thought that was special. She would always do something special for you if you were the one participating in whatever activity. And I don't know, I think about that now. So every time I get ready to go do something significant, like have a trial or major court date, I always eat a steak the night before.
I don't remember getting a steak.
Yeah, well,
I think I had a hamburger. I think I had a hamburger and a hot dog.
That was probably my choice then. That was probably my choice.
You're probably right. You're probably right.
When I first went to elementary school, the schools were segregated. So it wasn't until the 3rd grade that the schools actually integrated, and I went to school with white kids. And so I'd gone my 1st and 2nd grade year to Trousdale County Elementary School. And then in the 3rd grade, I went to Gordonsville Elementary School, because the schools had integrated and they closed Turner. And my dad, who was teaching at Turner, which was a segregated school, went to Gordonsville to teach. So we went with him. I went with him to the third grade over there. And sorry about that. So that was a big change, and so going through that period of time up through high school, it was kind of like the first integrated group of kids graduating from high school, which was interesting because it was just new. I remember being in the 3rd grade and really, just realizing at the time that, gosh, these kids are just like me. I'm just like them.
I did a print one time. It's called Almost Home. It's of the Carthage Bridge, which is the first landmark going down Main Street. And the title, of course, is Almost Home. And it goes back to when I was a little kid, walking across the bridge in the middle of the night with my parents. And then going away to college, I didn't have a car first year, so I rode a bus. And when I'd see that Carthage Bridge, it was like I was almost home. So, and I know when I was in high school band, we would drive across the bridge on the band bus, and we'd start singing the Alma Mater, starting at the first part of the bridge and at the bluff, and going all the way across the bridge and finishing Alma Mater when we got to the high school auditorium. And again, when we saw that landmark and seeing, you knew then you was almost home. But when I went to have the print completed, I went to Lebanon and came back, and I was driving down Highway 70, and I was getting ready to go across the bridge. And I thought, I'm almost home, but it's not for the same reason. Parents are gone, so it's not, coming home now, it's not for the exact same reason. But still, it's a sentimental thing just to see that bridge and think, I'm almost home. Tying the 3 things, like I said, together, music, of course, art, doing the set and construction design, the costumes, and then the drama aspect of it also. It's being able to pull all 3 of those things together. And I guess I'm fortunate enough to have a little bit of background in all 3 and to be able to combine all 3. Although I am an art teacher, I can put them all together, and it's like painting a painting. It's like putting the kids up on stage and just creating a painting only in real life.
Going way on back to when I was born, I was away from Smith County from 1942 when I went into the service until 1953 when I moved back in Smith County, so I've been here continuously since 1953.
And I was born in '58 here on Main Street, Dr. Wilson's clinic, and where Digger Poindexter's business is now. And I've been here continuously until now, with the exception of college and law school.
I'll tell you one. It goes back to the campaign of 1990 when Al Gore ran for president. Again, the many members of the media came to town, and I was talking to one of the media, and she was trying to find a good spot to make a picture. I said, go up to the new bridge and get there about sunrise, and focus your camera down on the old bridge, and you will see a scene there of Carthage and Smith County at its best. So she did that, and that was one of the pictures that she had. Another favorite scene of mine, which is no longer used, is the bridge over the Caney Fork River at Stonewall that has a right turn in the bridge. That makes a beautiful picture, and there are a few pictures left of the old bridge there with the right turn. I guess it would be a left turn if you were going towards Stonewall in the bridge.
I suppose my favorite scenic spot in Smith County would be up at the dam, or up at Defeated Creek. There's at the campground, there's a little walking track that you can take, and you go out to the edge of the water and you look over the water, and it's even in the barest of winter, it's still a pretty serene scene. But it's pretty to go out there and take advantage of looking at all the beauty out there in Defeated.
Another scene which has been diminished some by the Cordell Hull Dam was going up to Devil's Elbow, and even now with the dam there, it's still beautiful. You could look back over the valley when all the crops were growing back in the 50s and even back in the 40s.
I was born on the south side of the river and lived most of my young life in Brush Creek. But for the last 30 or so years, I have lived in Carthage. My most scenic spot is sitting on my back deck, looking out at the beauty that surrounds me, especially when my children were younger and I could watch them play in my backyard. There's so many beautiful places. The lake, I grew up around Center Hill Lake, so it's beautiful there. I can think back to my home and the places I used to go as a child when we swam in the creek and rode our bicycles and met my daddy at the end of the road and all kinds of fun things. So there's not really one scenic place that I could say, but I guess my home is my most scenic place, just being there with my family. I'm proud of the people of Smith County. They are so good and so wonderful, and everybody comes together. I've had a couple of serious illnesses, and every time the people of Smith County were so good to us as far as the churches and the food and the prayers and the visits. My son was in Iraq about a year ago. The people of Smith County just constantly were sending him stuff, was sending the whole company, not just him, but the whole company. We were supported by their prayers, by their love for him and for us, and there's just no better place to live because of the people of Smith County. I think my favorite small town memory would be when I was growing up and we could get on our bicycles and go anywhere and everywhere to a friend's house. The doors were always open. We never had to worry about the stranger that might be there because we knew everyone in the town. I grew up in a town probably of about 600 people, and there were 5 churches. So you couldn't go to any corner without seeing a church. So we were pretty much, during the summer when we were out of school, my father owned a small grocery store, and there was another grocery store, and my sister and I would get a quarter, and we could walk to the store and buy whatever we wanted. You could actually buy 2 snacks and a Coke with that money. And it was just the fact that I guess you could wander without, my mother didn't have to worry so much about who was going to snatch me or who I might come home with, because she knew everyone and she knew that I was safe no matter where I was.